Over the years during my time in education, I have battled many stereotypes and microaggressions when growing up in education, but never questioned on how impactful it was towards me and others up until I got to university, where I learned about access and wider participation agenda and the wider look of black ethnics. I'm Gator Ndula, a current student at UON, and I'd like to find out more about the access and participation agenda it has had on black students within UON. But before I do, here's how my life and journey went. So that was a brief journey of my life in education, but I've also wanted to know more about the wide participation agenda and how it started, as I've been one of those who's been left lost not knowing about access of black students when I was in school or college, which I lacked supporting. I decided to meet up with Dr. Patrice, who's been researching the access values here at UON, to tell me more about the WP agenda.
Basically, centuries ago in the West, a university was mainly for people coming from high classes. So they were dominated by male in higher education. Throughout the years, we had a number of reports that were generated. For example, Low Rubin report, and in the 1990s, we had the Low General report. So those reports basically they came up with the concept that we need to increase participation. And after the 1990s, basically, we had a number of university that were created, the post-1992 university. You have things like Northampton University is one of those, Southbank University, Greenwich University, they were created after the 1990s. So those universities were created to allow, to maximize number of ethnic minority people to actually access university, to increase university access to the widened participation.
22% of people starting undergraduate study in 2019 to 2020 academic year were white, 12.2% were Asian, and 8.7% were black, and 4.5% were mixed ethnicity, and 2.0% were from other ethnic groups, according to the Gov. A fact about BAME students: there's a 13% gap between the likelihood of white students and students from BAME backgrounds getting a first or 2-1 classification. After finding out these facts about black students on how they are looked at in higher education, I want to find out more about what the wider position means to the Vice Chancellor of UON, Professor Sian Waring. I sat down with her, and here's what she had to say.
So widening access, widening participation means for me taking away the barriers which should not be there that currently prevent some people entering university education.
After finding out what widening participation and access means from the Vice Chancellor, I want to find out more on what is being done for black students at UON in accessing higher education.
I think it's educating ourselves, people like me particularly, about white privilege. Then I think making sure we've got much greater representation in leadership, both for a symbolic reason, so black students can see black people in leadership positions, so I think that's really important. So any student who wants to talk to a member of staff who they feel will be empathetic to their own experience, they can do that. They can find somebody they think that person will understand.
Following this conversation, I also sat down with Kavan, who is the Access and Participation Manager, who explains what is being done for the university access and participation for ethnic students here at UON.
What UON is doing in terms of widening participation is we have a bunch of initiatives. So there's the university and their initiatives, and that is things like open days and targeted events at open days. It's also things like UniConnect, and they work with different schools, and they have school coordinators within the schools ensuring that the school is communicating with the university in terms of what we offer them resources, that sort of thing, and those resources really focus on literacy skills, math skills, that sort of thing, to sort of raise the attainment at school level to hopefully then translate into saying good enough grades is a poor phrase, right, but translates into the academic ability to be able to then go on and study at university later on down the line.
Taking this information from Cavan, I went to London to speak to an ex-student, Sandra, to find out more about her access and what the WISE position means to her as a student.
I don't have a strong understanding of it, but from what I do know, I just think why shouldn't kids from privileged backgrounds, ethnic minorities, be given a chance to go to university or go to school or just gain a higher education.
I also spent some time with an ex-student, Tyrese, who I wanted to find out more information about the wider population and what it meant to him as a previous student here at UON.
Partially, I know that they're an initiative which focuses on minorities and their engagement and involvement in higher education.
Did you know 95% of young people have experienced racism in school, 49% see racism as the greatest barrier to attainment in school, and 50% feel teachers' perception of them inhibit educational success? What percentage of black students go to university in the UK? 17.4 percentage points in 2020 to 2021. There was a difference of 17.4% age points between the proportion of white and black students getting a first or 2-1 according to the stats and figures shown below. However, finding out what WISE position means to each student was good enough, but I've also wanted to know and find out more about how and why they came to university.
I would say, because I come from a predominantly African household, I wouldn't say my parents are strict, but it was a requirement that everybody has to go to uni, get a degree and get a good job. So I would say more so it was because of my parents. That's the reason why I went to uni. 20% I had a choice, and then the rest it was more so them.
I have the aim of becoming a physiotherapist, so doing sports and exercise science is kind of a gateway into doing a master's or into getting into the career of physiotherapy. So it was kind of a must in order for me to get into the career or bracket that I want to.
Now, how and why they came to university was inspiring, as I learnt their choices are more under influence of others as well as themselves. But I've also wanted to know more about the university experience as a black student here at UON.
I feel like I was very much stereotyped quite a lot. Obviously I'm a black girl, but it was always, oh, she's so unserious because she didn't come in today. Oh, she's so unserious because she didn't contribute enough. I can count on my hands the amount of teachers that actually gave me the support and help in university, and to be honest, it was 2, because there was so much microaggression towards me. It did affect the way I did my essays, did my assignments and stuff, worked within groups, because I just had a wall up instantly.
In terms of uni life and mental health and such, everyone goes through their peaks and troughs. Sometimes it's a bit too much, sometimes you have your good days, bad days. When I had my bad days, if I didn't have my own personal support network, I didn't know where to go, per se. I did seek counselling from the uni, however, it wasn't really effective. Upon reflection or result of the counselling, I was told to maybe consider that uni was not for me, or that I should take a gap year. It was only when I got into my 3rd or 2nd year where I knew the football area or football grounds were available for 2 hours on a Friday. That would have been helpful or useful when I was in my 1st year. Due to the stress load and the workload was minimal, so it also would have been great for an introductory into just uni life.
I found out a lot of experiences which I could relate to from these ex-students. But for the future, I would like to know what it holds for UON.
You know, it's work in progress. I think we have made gains. We had an awarding gap of 21%, I think, a year or 2 ago. That's dropped by 5% in the most recent set of statistics. So it's moving in the right direction. We've clearly got more work to do.
Okay, thank you. I have left with many important information and facts about access and the experiences of black students and what students have felt in higher education. This leaves me with the thought of more needs to be done for ethnic students accessing education, and the support should be looked after to build a high level of fairness for all students who feel underrepresented.